I often wonder if the term grumpy old men is because they spent their whole working life in an office or factory looking at concrete or tarmac. It's just impossible to ignore the massive research that says that an outdoor environment looking at green spaces is so important for well-being. In fact, the National Health Service are establishing social prescribing. This means that doctors will recommend things like gardening to improve our well-being. We might have to name it the Natural Health Service. And what's more, if you self-prescribe, there's no waiting list. Lots of studies have shown that being in a green space has positive effects on our psychological well-being. And what's more, you don't even have to be in a space. Studies in hospitals have shown that if you're looking at a green space as opposed to looking at a concrete wall, you need less analgesics to hide the pain, you get better faster, and it's just so much better for your well-being. We've worked on designing a garden for the Horatios charity. It was a garden for spinal units where patients who might be in hospital for up to 2 years had an actual space they could go in with raised beds. We provided a garden room with a fireplace for them to gather around, with trees and shrubs and herbs and a greenhouse, so they can actually garden as well as being in a space full of green plants. And you can see that the therapeutic effects are just amazing. In the hospital environment, the gardens are just key to getting better faster. For dementia patients, gardening and being in a garden actually helps maintain brain skills and is a cognitive therapy. The sights and smells of greenery is thought to be very good, and the NHS really recognise this. Apparently the smell of new mown grass really helps their mental well-being as well. All sorts of plants can really help patients with dementia. There's more and more research being done on the health benefits of plants. One study showed from Kansas University that when women in an emotional state look at red geraniums, it makes them recover far, far better and faster. And they found this by doing EEGs on the brain. And other research involving lavender says that if you smell and see lavender, it actually reduces beta waves and reduces stress level hormones as well. So it is amazing the powers of plants. Gardening is well known to be a great way to relieve depression. Playing with someone, be it a dog, a friend, or even your plants in the garden, boosts your oxytocin levels. Oxytocin is the hormone that's associated with love and trust. Low levels of it lead to depression, but it also boosts the neuronal pathways in your brain. So get out there, get a ball and throw it to your dog, or feed your chickens. I think my favourite Chinese proverb is the shadow of the gardener is the best fertiliser. And obviously this means that the more attention you pay to plants, the more they respond. But I've actually changed this slightly. I think the shadow of the garden is the best medicine for the gardener. Trees are an especially good environment for our well-being. In fact, in Japan, they actively encourage people to go out and forest bathe, as they call it. This is because trees actually emit phytochemicals. These chemicals are absorbed when we breathe and through our skin, and they make us feel good. They reduce stress, they reduce blood pressure, they improve our feeling of well-being. And the reason that the forest or woodland is particularly good for this is because they've got canopies, and so more of these phytochemicals are kept around us. In Hokkaido University, which is in northern Japan, researchers there discovered that people with diabetes type 2, if they actually went into the forest, their blood sugar levels actually dropped. Now, they dropped the same amount whether they just went and sat in the forest or whether they walked 4 miles or 2 miles. They all had the same beneficial effect, which is quite extraordinary. It means that actively just being in the forest helps them reduce their blood sugar levels. In 2007, some scientists did some experiments with mice, and they found out that if the mice had been exposed to Mycobacterium vaccae, which is a bacterium found in the soil, they actually performed better in the maze, they were less stressed, and they produced more serotonin. Now, serotonin is a neurotransmitter and it's associated with happiness. And then guess what? They found out that it's exactly the same with us. So if we absorb Mycobacterium vaccae, which is a bacteria found in the soil, and we absorb it through our skin and we breathe it in, we actually feel happier and we're more alert and we're less stressed. So soil is great for you as well as your plants. The amount of time we spend outside compared to our ancestors is absolutely minimal. And the problem is we're wearing sunblock or hats because we're scared of the sun. But you really need vitamin D. Vitamin D is essential for forming calcium in your body, and calcium is vital. So we really must try and spend more time outside, and we'll feel a lot better for it. More and more children are getting rickets in the country now because they're spending so much time indoors and on their PlayStation. I think when you've got young children, it's great to get them out in the garden at an early age. And you can join in with them and do constructive things such as watering plants, sowing seeds, and they can create as much mess as they like in the garden, and it really doesn't matter that much. So establishing habits and establishing things to do with children outside, whether it's play or more constructive, it's just the ideal environment. And once they love being out there, then they'll perhaps want to do it for the rest of their life. And that's a great thing to instill in a child. Mindfulness is all the rage. And in fact, what mindfulness means is just being aware of the present moment. It's so easy just to rush through life and forget to enjoy the present times. And another factor is fascination. Fascination actually regenerates our mental energies. And I find that I get more fascination from the garden really than many other things. Every day when I come downstairs, I overlook the pool in my back garden, and one day I might see a woodpecker, or I might see a couple of ducks swimming on it, or I might see birds drinking from it. But it's just noticing and absorbing and watching. And actually there's no better place than the garden to really engage and become fascinated with the wildlife, with your plants and the whole environment. It's very easy to want to rush out into the garden when the sun's shining. But the trick is you need to get out there all through the year to increase that well-being factor. So what I do is I wrap up warm and I give myself an aerobic job to do first. So I'll do something really heavy like shoveling mulch or axing wood, and then my blood is coursing through my veins, and then I want to go out and do all the other jobs that hadn't been quite so appealing initially. So exercise is a really positive part of gardening. And very few people realise exactly how many calories they use up when they garden. So if I come out in the garden and I mow the lawn for an hour, I do some weeding for an hour, and maybe I do a bit of mulching for an hour, I will use the same amount of calories if I spent a whole hour in the gym, 20 minutes on the cross trainer, 20 minutes on the running machine, 20 minutes on something else. So it is a very high calorie use. The garden is a great place to practice good, deep breathing. Very few of us breathe properly, but when you actually do it and think about it and fill your lungs with fresh air, it does make you feel very much better. So perhaps at the end of the day, just go out into the evening air and take some good, deep breaths. There's nothing like a heavy day's gardening that makes you sleep well. So many people as they get to middle age find it really difficult to get a good night's sleep. A good night's sleep is so important for restoring our bodies. It makes us feel better the next day. We're more mentally alert. It's really important. So get outside, have some good exercise and have a lovely night's sleep. At the end of a day in the garden, when my feet have been in my Wellington boots all day and my hands have been in wet gardening gloves, I find the best thing in the world is to give yourself a good foot and hand massage. It's extraordinary the benefits of a good foot massage. It not only feels nice, but actually it really does boost circulation. And if you've got something like diabetes, or you've got nerve problems in your foot, or if your hands are stiff and a bit arthritic, getting your blood to really flow is very beneficial. We all love being happy. It's healthy to be happy. And George McCarran from Sussex University carried out the Happiness survey, which is ongoing now. And he's actually measured what things make people happy. And guess what? Gardening is really high. It's top of the list at 6%, along with theatre going and other things like dining out at restaurants. The only thing that tops this is love and intimacy, which comes in at 12%. So really, to get the best of both worlds, you just need to go out and have a bit of fun in the garden.